What is your American dream?
So my American dream, 1, is to move somewhere where there's no winter, and 2, to do all the things I'm passionate about full time.
Just basically to live out my life the way that I choose, coming here to convention centers like this and finding someone to actually share the enjoyment that I do.
The American dream would be living your life without having to second guess your opinions. Don't sell yourself short of the experience.
My American dream is my own personal freedom and creativity to do what I want, but also others around me. As long as it's safe and fun and everybody's on the same playing field, I don't feel that there should be any limitations. I think you should be able to enjoy your one life that you're given and be grateful and to give back to others as well.
My American dream is just to be happy and to not let anyone get in my way of doing that.
Everyone has a right to the American dream. Happy Halloween, everybody! I am your captain, Captain Stubing from the Love Boat. I am joined by the dinosaur who's falling apart over here, and Jonathan has to turn on his mic as Beetle Juice.
You have to turn on your mic.
Turn on my mic. My mic's not on. How are you? And there is the dinosaur.
Hey.
Will come up in a second. What is this dinosaur? This dinosaur is falling apart here.
The dinosaur's a little drunk.
Dinosaur's drunk. We got a police cop here. Get rid of this dinosaur, please. We have a police officer. You get rid of the dinosaur, please.
Oh.
We need dinosaur. Come on, out of here. We got to do a show. We got to do a show, dinosaur.
Look at the cop.
Oh, come on, cop.
My goodness.
Come on, cop. Get out of here,
Gracious,
dinosaur.
police.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Happy Halloween, everybody. I am your captain, Captain Stubing from the Love Boat. I am joined by Beetle Juice.
Say it 2 more times.
Oh, wow, you're very good. Say that again.
Say it 2 more times.
You look kind of also, you could be like Edward Scissorhands a little bit too.
Good.
Right? Maybe you're like,
one.
you could be like a little scissors. I don't know. Are we on YouTube, by the way? Because I don't believe we are on YouTube. We are just on. We are just on Facebook. If someone can get us on YouTube, that would be wonderful. And let me say hello to everybody in the squad. Mia Montauk, how are you? Purple Diva Lee, how are you? Funa Maya Gildas, happy Halloween. Natasha Babarum is watching. God Working For Me is watching. Cordella Douglas, what's going on? Cardo Simmons, D. Forbes, what's up? Andreen Spence, Prosper Ikachuku, saying hello. Jonathan, Tracy Haynes, Latana Sani, Dion Watson, Dawn Harriet, what's going on? Cordella Douglas, Mia Montauk, Linda Shaw, Moshe the Bulldozer.
Is he in the comments?
He is in the comments.
Whoa.
Moshe the Bulldozer Baruch. How
Let me fix
are
myself
you?
up.
Jennifer Javel Finnegan, what's going on? Bakare Pobby says, you are a real captain, Brad. I am trying my best. De Forbes, Kirk Brown, Jonathan. What's looking for? You have gone all out for this Halloween.
All out.
What are your plans here for Halloween?
I'm going to. Actually, my sister's coming.
Yeah.
And we're gonna just walk the parade.
Well, you know what? You're talking so normal, and then I'm looking at you. You look like a crazy man.
So should I talk like
I don't know. Maybe you should. I don't know. But
I'm gonna go get some kids. Dinner time is soon.
All right. Beetlejuice, why don't you tell everybody how to share on Facebook while we try to figure out how do we get on YouTube?
Everybody share. All right?
That's it. Back to you, Captain.
Back to you, Captain. You know how to share. Press the little share button that says arrow. Point it like this. Remember, if you say Beetlejuice 3 times, I'll come and get you, all right? So, we're not getting answers. What are you talking about?
This is a disaster today. The Halloween trick-or-treat show, right?
It's a trick.
It's a trick. It is. It is.
No, seriously. All right, everybody, share. Okay, you know how to share. This is not new to you. So just click the little arrow that says share. Share it to anybody's page. Share it to groups. Share it in the inbox. You could also, please, put in all your questions right now. We're going to take some social media questions on top of answering calls, too. And make sure you show a lot of love by like, love, smiley face, sad face, wild face, sad face, happy face, mad face, whatever you're feeling. Make sure you show that right there. And we will talk about doing watch parties, not right now, in a little bit, but make sure that those fingers are ready because we will get there soon. What else, Brad?
Well, I have in my hand, Beetle Juice.
Yes.
The top 6 Halloween stories of the day, and I am going to give you a treat, not a trick. None of them involve Donald Trump.
Yes!
So, I don't know how Captain Stubing is supposed to talk. Do we have a video on how Captain Stubing is supposed to talk?
So let everybody know.
So we know what Captain Stubing is supposed to talk. Do we have a video of that? Maybe? We don't know. Perhaps. Let me go into our top. There, that's who I'm supposed to be.
You look just like him.
Do I look like him?
You do.
He looks angry. Do you know what the thing is with Captain Stubing on the Love Boat? Did you ever watch The Love Boat?
The Love Boat.
He was never steering the ship. He was always walking around the boat. I don't know who the hell was steering the ship.
Wasn't a really good captain.
But he never was steering the ship ever. That's the Love Boat song, right? The Love Boat. Right, but he was never steering the ship ever. He was always down at the Lido bar drinking.
My type of captain.
He was always at the Lido bar drinking.
I could be a captain then. Shit.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I have in my hand, Beetle Juice, the top 6 haunted stories of 2019.
People are asking, who am I?
Beetle Juice. Gosh.
Google Beetle Juice, then you know.
You look like the Joker after you fell down the Joker stairs, maybe. Are you the Joker after you fell down the Joker stairs?
No, Beetle Juice. All right, what are these stories?
And by the way, Natasha Babarum says, I look exactly like
You do.
Captain Stubing.
You do.
Merrill, there he is. Look at me.
that.
Go back to me.
Same smile.
Same smile.
everything. Perfect.
I am the cat. I could have been a television star.
This is true.
And I would have been perfect because I don't know how to steer a boat, but I could do wonderful at the Lido bar down by the pool.
I feel like I could have been perfect too once I was alive.
Meanwhile, Beetlejuice, there is a haunted house
Ooh,
in Tennessee
heard about this.
that if you finish the haunted house, you will get paid $20,000. That is how scary this haunted house is.
That is crazy.
Nobody has ever finished this haunted house. It's in Tennessee. You have to sign a 40-page waiver, create a safe word, pass a drug test before entering. But if you survive the entire haunted house, you get handed $20,000.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Now it's called McCamey Manor, and it's so terrifying, Beetlejuice. Nobody has ever finished it. A website touts it's the world's only true interactive 7-hour extreme haunting experience.
Let me tell you something. That is not a haunted house. That is a torture chamber.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Russ McCamey said he spent over $1 million creating a haunted house where fans can live out their horror flick fantasies. Just bring a bag of dog food for one of McCamey's 5 dogs. In clips featured online, participants who appear bruised, bloodied, and utterly petrified are pushed around, blindfolded, screamed at, and even buried in mud. Some have had their hair shaved off. They have to tap out, and they have to utter, "You really don't want to do this," into the camera. That's how you get out. Before guests began their harrowing journey, however, Russ requires them to watch a 2-hour movie. The video, and then there were none, is basically a torture montage of every contestant who tried to survive the ordeal between July 2017 and August 2019. If they paid me $100,000, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it?
Absolutely
I
not.
heard that there was a petition trying to shut it down.
Really?
Yeah, because
Why?
it's that crazy.
Now, you think you're up to the challenge. These are the requirements. You got to be 21 years old or 18 to 20 with parental approval. You have to complete a sports physical, pass a background check, be screened via Facebook, FaceTime, or phone, proof of medical insurance. You have to sign a detailed 40-page waiver, pass a drug test. Now, how does he conjure up enough fear that nobody has ever finished?
That's crazy.
He says, when I use the hypnosis, I can put you in a kiddie pool with a couple inches of water and tell you there's a great white shark in there, and you're going to think there's a shark in there. And so when you have that kind of power over people and have them do and see things you want them to see, then they could leave here thinking it really happened.
Sounds like my type of party.
So that is what's going on in Tennessee. Now, there is a reality show. I don't know, maybe you like this better for reality show. Because Beetle Juice, you've done a few reality shows in your alter ego, Jonathan Elias.
Yes, I have.
Right?
He has.
He has, the alter ego, Jonathan.
Yes.
So there's a new reality show, and it's called Britain's Meet the Family, MEAT.
Oh.
Where they ask carnivorous families to adopt and raise animals that are going to go to slaughter.
Oh, no.
Unless they pledge to stop eating meat for good.
Wow. For good?
For good. So, in other words, you go and the pig comes to your home, it becomes your domesticated animal. They are now sending the pig to slaughter unless you agree to stop eating meat. The question they are asking, how can you cuddle your dog while you're putting another animal in the oven? The first episode of Meet the Family involved a lamb, a pig, a chicken, and a calf. In the end, they have to decide whether they put the animal in the oven or they send it to sanctuary to live among other rescued livestock.
How long do they have to take care of the pig?
It's a 3-hour, I don't know, but it's a 3-hour long episode each show. So obviously there's a lot of filming. Right. And the reality of an animal's journey from field to plate and highlight animal behavior and intelligence, the farming practices required to meet the demands of hungry consumers, and the environmental impact of producing meat. According to the producers, it is not sex or drugs anymore. Meat is the next taboo.
Wow.
Now, why do we find it acceptable to eat a lamb, but we wouldn't eat our pet dog? Can you go back to meat once you've put a name and face to a meal, asked Newman, who promised the show, Newman's the producer, who promised the show will have its share of heartwarming moments.
I don't know about that because
I don't want to watch that show.
I don't either.
I like eating meat, and I don't want to know about it.
Too.
Right?
I love meat.
Are those your real teeth? Are those your real teeth, Beetle Juice?
This is my real everything. What do you mean?
A dead man pranked his family at his own funeral by using a recording to scream, "Let me out!" as they put his coffin into the ground.
Gosh.
Yes, at a funeral for Shay Bradley in Ireland, he pranked his loved ones with a message from beyond the grave. As Bradley's coffin was lowered into the ground, a recording of him said, "Hello, hello, let me out, where the F am I? Let me out of this effing dark, it's in here." The family freaked out, they thought he was alive.
No,
they all ran to open up the casket only to find it was a recording, and he had it done in his will. That's what he wanted to do, to prank his entire family from the grave. Days before the funeral, his brother told the rest of the siblings and their mother about the prank. He wanted to make sure his mom would be laughing, leaving the cemetery, not crying. Loved ones attending the funeral of Shay, a veteran of Ireland's Defense Forces, were shocked when they heard his voice as the coffin was lowered into the ground. As the coffin was being lowered and the priest was giving the last rites, the tape recording from inside the coffin, "Hello, hello, let me out, where the F am I?" which was a pre-recorded message before he died.
Wow.
"Is that the priest I can hear?" he said, adding, "This is Shay, I'm in the box."
They have a video?
They have a video, let's watch.
"Hello? Let me out! Hello? Hello? Let me out!"
Oh my God, that is so
That's
funny.
kind of creepy.
Now, Andrea said her father's recording was a way of saying not only goodbye, but to also say, "Okay, the sadness is over now. Here's a laugh so you can go on and celebrate my life with a smile." Yeah. Now, hundreds of rats formerly living with women in a van are up for adoption.
What?
Yeah, hundreds of domestic rats in San Diego. They're up for adoption.
Hell no.
They were living with a woman in a van down by the river. Nina Thompson, the spokesperson for the San Diego Humane Society, says overall these rats were well cared for and the owner really loved them. However, her population of hundreds of rats got out of hand in the van. The woman had been living in a van near a convenience store down by the river where she worked after becoming homeless. She started with two pet rats that quickly multiplied.
Disgusting.
The woman has since found a place to stay. She is not in trouble and will not face any legal consequences.
Absolutely disgusting.
Finally,
Yes.
Texas is now home to swimming tarantulas. If you've ever had a spider phobia and a creepy crawlies with 8 legs are not your thing, hopefully you don't live in Texas. If you do live in Texas, you may want to avoid swimming in lakes or ponds.
Good protein.
Spiders are the unfortunate animal that people seem to fear most. I don't like spiders. I'll kill them, but I don't like them.
Would you kill a tarantula?
If I had to.
Really?
I wouldn't do it with my bare hands. I would need to smack it with a shoe or smash it with like a cloth in my hand.
You know what I would do?
But I wouldn't want the tarantula in my bare hand. You understand, Beetle Juice?
I understand.
You understand, Beetle Juice?
You know what I do?
What? You eat them.
I eat spiders.
Now, you would love Texas, Beetle Juice, because there's 40 different types of tarantulas that are found in the United States, but the largest state to avoid with the swimming tarantulas are Texas.
Oh, my God.
That
Look at that.
is
That is creepy.
That's creepy, right?
Oh, hell no.
They eat small critters such as beetles.
Hey.
Yep. Grasshoppers, moths, and other species. Larger tarantulas eat snakes, lizards, mice, frogs, and even birds.
Wait. Larger tarantulas eat
Yes,
birds?
birds.
Snakes? What?
Yes. Now, many people would surely say, leave the tarantulas in the forests and tree trunks, and they won't bother you, and we won't bother them.
They'll stay home.
That's the general idea. But it turns out we're not that lucky. We just can't avoid these disgusting creatures, as you may think. A tarantula was recently spotted in Texas doing something that was completely out of the ordinary. As we said, it can swim.
That is
Footage was captured at the state park in Texas, and people are not happy about the recent swimming tarantulas. Todd G. Smith on Twitter said, move to Texas, they say. It's so much better than California, they say. # nope. Not with that swimming tarantula. And Ryan Powell on Twitter said, I'm not scared of spiders, but if I see a tarantula swimming towards me, you best believe I'm dipping out of there.
Out.
And with that, Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias, Beetle Juice, that was the top 5 Halloween stories
I could pull my
of 2019. Why don't you tell everybody the Love Boat's ready to leave, and tell everybody what they need to do before I answer some immigration questions.
Yeah, sure. Oh, what's this? Hey, guys.
That's the Love Boat ready to leave.
We're ready to sail off, all right? So we need your help right now. I can't do it like that. I have to do it regular. All right, everybody. Now is the time to start your watch parties, because this is the meat and potatoes of the show. This is where you guys are going to call in and get your immigration answers. So what you guys need to do is press that little share button. The option down, it will say start a watch party. All right, and what that does is you get to host your own watch party in your own page. All right, you are literally the Brad. So whatever your name is, if your name is Lisa Bling Rose Show Live, that's what it is. You're hosting your own show on your page. And what I want you guys to do is tell them about the show. This is going to be an interesting show to introduce a lot of your friends and family to, but it's going to be fun, all right? Because we're going to answer your questions. So make sure you guys start your watch party. Everybody do it right now. Tell all your friends and family to do so as well. And also put in your questions in the comment section. And this is what you guys have been waiting for. This is where you call in and get your immigration question. All right, let's go to
Beverly. Trick or treat, Beverly. It's your Captain Brad on Halloween. How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, Brad.
What's going on?
Okay. Happy Halloween. I have a question.
Yes.
I was married in August, and my husband is about to start my 130 and my 138. My son turned 18 in June. I wonder if he could put him on my
as
file.
long as the marriage happened before he turned 18, your husband can file for him. If the marriage happened after he turned 18, unfortunately, he is not a stepson. Your son would have to wait for you to get your green card and turn around and file for him. It's unfortunate for your son, but I hope most people are watching, and if they realize they're getting married and they have a child who's going to be turning 18, make sure the marriage happens before 18. For your son, he has to wait, unfortunately, until you get your green card. Where is your son right now?
He's in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But I'm in New York.
Yeah. After you get your green card as a conditional resident, the next day you can turn around and file for him.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Good luck. Let's go to James in Niceville, Florida. James. James is partying for Halloween, so I'm going to put him on holds. And Junior in Queens. Junior also trick-or-treating. Let's go to Maurice in Atlanta, Georgia. Maurice.
Hi, Brian.
How are you?
I'm not too bad.
What's going on?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
All right. My thing is I came to the U.S. in 2018, and I got married to a permanent resident.
Right.
And, I eventually overstayed, and my wife filed a I-130.
Okay. Your wife is citizen?
And,
your wife is citizen?
January.
Your wife
filed the I-130
is
January.
Is your wife a citizen?
No, she applied to become a citizen.
Okay, so once she becomes a citizen, you're going to file an I-485 and adjustment and get your green card. Just wait on her citizenship. There's nothing else to do at the moment.
What do I file?
When your wife becomes a citizen, you're going to file an I-485 adjustment application, and you're going to get your green card. Just wait on her citizenship. Everything will be fine.
Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. All right, let's try it back. James in Niceville, Florida. James. James. James, this is James with Trick or Treat.
Hello,
James, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's going on?
I have a question for a friend. I want to know if we can still file for VAWA.
Yes. If you're abused spouse, yes. You can still put it in.
And I don't know, can I, is there a charge can I know the charge for it?
The charge? What I'm going to charge you for it?
Yes.
Okay, do you realize right now it's Halloween? I am dressed up as a 1970s sitcom captain from the Love Boat, and you're asking this man what the legal fees are going to be?
Look who's sitting next to him.
Yeah, and I'm sitting next to my paralegal right now. You want this guy filling out forms? He's not the paralegal. Hold on 1 second, James. Hold on. All right, Jonathan, we'll talk to him off the air.
Yes.
By the way, we have 4 social media questions, Beetle Juice.
We sure do.
All right, what do we got?
All right, our first social media question comes from Princess Black, saying, good afternoon, I'm from Jamaica, got my green card approved on May 22nd, 2019. However, I haven't heard anything from NVC for my daughter that's back home. She's 12 years old. What should I do?
If the case made it to the NVC and you haven't heard, then contact the NVC or come to me and I'll contact them. I don't know where you're at, but if it's an immediate relative, you should be hearing from the NVC. Why you haven't heard, I don't know, but we'll get to the bottom of it. Or my name's not Captain Stubing.
There you go.
All right.
All right. V. Beasy saying, good morning. My question is morning, because this was from our Brad Squad. So if you guys haven't joined the Brad Squad, this is why they get their first dibs. You guys need to join the Brad Squad in order to get that. My question is, can a green card holder file an AOS for a spouse who's already in the USA? I-130 has already been approved. Spouse is here 2 years on visitor's visa. PD is October 2017.
No, because the spouse sounds like they've overstayed there on their visitor's visa. If the spouse was in legal status, the answer would be yes. But once the spouse overstays, you got to wait for the other spouse who's sponsoring to become a U.S. citizen. Beetle Juice.
Yeah.
Now.
All right, next one comes from Noya saying, hey, Brad, I have a friend that got married to a permanent resident last year, January. She put in her citizenship, got it this year. What happened was that she got pregnant last year from another man that is probably not her husband, but she told him that she got raped, and everything went back to normal.
She told who got raped by who?
She told her husband, I think, that she got raped by another man because she got pregnant.
Oh my gosh, she lied to him, or was that?
Okay, yeah, I think she did.
Okay.
And so everything went back to normal. Now she got her citizenship, and they went to a lawyer, paid the money, everything, and she was asked numerous questions like if you're getting government assistance, and she said no while papers were mailed to them because she was going to lie, and she's getting she is getting government assistance. She can't come off of it. Now her husband doesn't know what to do because he's been sitting for almost 2 years with his wife when this happened. What can he do?
Well, why is the wife on government assistance?
Because they need the money.
Well, right now the immigration laws are the old laws. You would still be denied if the wife's on government assistance. If the child's on government assistance, it's okay. So generally, these are the situations where the child's on government assistance, not the wife. And if that's the case, then it's okay for the wife to file an adjustment for you and to get a second affidavit of support.
All right, last one for now.
Case.
Cool. Last one for now. Just Lovely saying, how long does it take to go through a VAWA program? I'm married for 2 years now.
About 18 months.
Okay.
2 years.
And he doesn't even want to file for adjustment. So
18 months to 2 years,
okay.
Something like that.
Cool.
So meanwhile, Jonathan, when I was away, you and the team went to the Eastern State Penitentiary. Oh, nope, don't do it. Let's go back to Junior in Queens. Junior.
Yes, hi. Good evening. I'm good. And yourself?
Good, good. What's going on?
Yes. What happened? I'm a resident. I file a I-130 for my daughter, which is she's about 18.
Right.
And she's here visiting now on a visitor's visa. But when I filed the I-130...
How long has she been here on a visitor's visa?
Maybe like 3 weeks.
Okay. After 90 days, if the priority date is current still, and it should be, you can file an adjustment for her before she falls out of status.
Oh, so we can do everything. She don't have to go back home.
After 90 days, provided the priority date is still current. It doesn't retrogress. It shouldn't, but you never know. So check back with me in December.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you so much, Brad.
Let's go to Asita in Atlanta, Georgia. Asita.
Yeah, how are you, Brad?
How are you?
Oh, I'm so happy to talk to you.
Good.
I love your show.
Thank you
I
very
love
much.
your show.
Thank you
You're
very
helping
much.
so much.
I am glad that you love it. I'm glad that I try to help
I love
as many.
it. I really love it.
I'm glad I try to help as many
friend.
people.
Yeah. So I have a question for my friend. She went for visitor visa in Sierra Leone, but then did not have the visa. But now her boyfriend want to help her to file for K1 visa for her. She asked me, I don't know if her boyfriend to continue to the application for her, or it's not going to be a problem for her.
She can do the K1. The reason why the visitor's visa was denied is because she has to show she's going to return to Sierra Leone. On a K1, you don't have to prove you're going to return. You're coming to get a green card. You're coming to get married. All you got to do is prove you're in a bona fide relationship with your spouse. So as long as they've met and they're in a real relationship, it'll get approved.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your show. May God bless your show. May God provide for you.
I hope so.
And your
Thank
family.
you. And please spread the word and the same to you. And may God everything for you.
Thank you.
All right. Everything for Asita. Everything. Not just provide. Everything.
Absolutely.
Right, Beetle Juice?
Yes.
Kirby in Orlando, Florida.
Hello.
Hi, Kirby.
Yeah, how you doing? Happy Halloween.
Thank you. What's going on?
All right, I got two questions. I came here when I was 14 years ago, and then my mom was already a citizen. She bring me here. I stayed both with her. I went to school, everything. And then now I'm like 26, but my green card is already expired. Am I already a citizen? And if I am, how do I obtain my passport?
How old were you when your mom became a citizen?
She became a citizen probably when I was 12, but I came here when I was like 14.
Okay, and was your mom married to your dad?
No, but my dad passed away though.
You're a citizen. You don't have to renew your green card. You became a citizen when you got here when you were 14. All you got to do is file for an N-600 for a certificate of citizenship. You could also file for a U.S. passport. Just show your green card, show you lived with your mom, show your birth certificate that she is your mom, and show that she became a citizen, her naturalization, before you were 18.
So I just go to the courthouse with my birth certificate then with her.
No, there's no courthouse. You just apply for a passport. Go to the post office. But if you need help, you're a citizen. If you need help, hold on 1 second. You hold on. You need a consultation. Hold on. But you're a citizen. Let's go to Anika in the Bronx. Anika.
Hello.
Hi, Anika.
Hi. I want to ask a question. If I can go for my interview by myself without my husband?
To prove it's a real marriage? No. If you're an abused spouse and you want to convert your case to an abuse case, possibly yes.
So how can I do that? Domestic violence?
Are you the victim of domestic violence, or are you just not getting along with you are? Then you're going to have to file an I-360. You prove it. At the time of your interview, you go to the immigration office for the interview for you and your husband, just yourself, with proof that you filed for the VAWA. They'll keep your case open pending the approval of the VAWA, the abuse case.
Oh, okay.
All right,
thank
but
you.
If you need help, hold on. Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice.
I'm over here eating all the candy.
Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice. We need 4 more social media questions.
I'm here for you. All right, our first one is Baru saying, sir, please, I applied for an I-485, seems, or in May 11, 2018, haven't received my green card. How long,
what?
How long does it take an asylee to receive a green card?
An asylee, after 1 year of having an approved asylum application, can file an adjustment.
They haven't received their green card after they applied for the I-485.
How long has it been?
2018.
If it's been more than 1 year, the government's violating your rights. You can wait forever, or you can file a mandamus.
It has been over a year.
So that's the answer.
Mandamus. All right, Radi saying, this is Radi from Nepal. Thanks for your advice. It was very helpful before. So now the case was approved January 8th, 2019, and was sent to NVC for visa process in January 18th. They received the letter saying the process was stopped due to overflow of visa in the category, which is the EB1 extraordinary category in sports. You said it'll take 120 days. Their lawyer said it will come within this or next month. I've also filed for my wife, daughter, and son. Is it taking long because of them? Just wanted to know that.
I don't understand the question.
Is it taking long because of them filing for the wife and daughter as well?
No, that's not the reason.
And the son.
I don't know why it's taking long. You can come see me and we'll figure it out.
Okay. And it's Renz saying, I'm 37, living in Jamaica and planning to marry my fiance who's 80 and living in America. Would
the fiance's 80 and how old is he?
37.
Oh, give me a break.
Said, would the huge age gap be a problem at the interview?
As the captain of the Love Boat, I would say the consular officer would find it very difficult to believe that you are in love with somebody that it could possibly be older than your great-grandmother.
I mean, love has no boundaries.
Yeah, but 36-year-old man, 80-year-old woman, oh, yeah, here, get your visa, come on up. Come on.
Yes, and our last one for right now is from Isaias saying, the question is, it was their friend, so it's for a friend, it was his first time getting caught shoplifting as an underage 18. The undercover cop just brought him back to the room, and he had his parent call. Now he's going to do community service and banned from the mall for a year. He said that it will affect his asylum case, and also will this be on his record?
What was he found guilty of?
His job opportunities.
What was he found guilty of?
Shoplifting under the age of 18.
It's a crime of moral turpitude. It could be a petty offense. I think as long as you do not get arrested again, you should be okay.
All right.
All right. So with that said, we have Eastern State Penitentiary. We have Moshe. We have Moshe. Moshe Baruch, what we like to call the bulldozer. He was dressed as a bulldozer today.
Was he really?
He was.
That's
he
hilarious.
came in. He had this whole yellow thing on. It said Caterpillar going down the middle, and he had this thing going like this all day long.
That is pretty amazing.
Let's watch Moshe the Bulldozer Baruch in another episode of What to Do When You're in an Accident. Every year, 10% of construction workers
as much as I love dressing up,
on the job
I hate
site
being in
America.
costumes. Yeah. So
according to the Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries in 2017 alone, 5,147 construction workers died on the job. When an accident leaves a construction worker incapacitated, they and their families lose the financial security they once had. A good attorney is needed to make sure that the injured parties are compensated to the highest level, because most of the time they will never be able to work again. And there is one bite of the apple when it comes to fighting for compensation in court. With me to discuss what to do if you or your loved one is involved in an on-the-job construction accident is Spar and Bernstein's very own personal injury attorney, Moshe the Bulldozer Baruch. Moshe, how are you?
Good to be here.
So, Moshe, let me ask you a question. We've talked about all the different things to do in a construction accident, why it's important to hire good attorneys like ourselves. It's important to have your phone, take pictures, call the ambulance, get medical treatment. We've talked about who to trust. We've even talked about what to do on Facebook and Instagram. But one thing we never talked about is, how does all of this get paid? How do we get paid as attorneys? How does somebody who is injured in an accident support themselves while they're waiting for these millions and millions of dollars that you get them at the end of the case, which obviously doesn't happen in a week or two. It may take 1, 2, 3 years before a case settles. How do you put food on the table? How do you pay your rent? How do you pay for your kids to go to school, for school books or whatever? Clothes.
So, Brad, when you're injured on the job and you retain attorneys at Spar and Bernstein, our legal services are free from inception, right? We only take a fee once the case settles. So from the beginning up until the moment the case is settled, nothing is being charged to the client.
You don't pay for anything?
Absolutely nothing.
There are no expenses, no hidden expenses?
Zero. Even the disbursements that we incur during the course of litigation, hiring the experts, getting the doctors on board, the narrative reports, we don't charge the clients absolutely anything, Brad. When it comes to their own personal expenses, for medical bills, for out-of-pocket expenses,
because a lot of people are very concerned. Is my lawyer going to pay my rent every month?
Right, exactly. And so the good news is workers' compensation kicks in for that. And workers' compensation is an insurance claim that you make with your employer, and your employer hopefully has workers' compensation insurance, and they will pay you for your medical benefits, your lost wages, and out-of-pocket expenses that are necessary. And what happens towards the end of the workers' compensation claim is they'll either buy you out, which means they'll give you a lump sum payment separate and apart from what attorneys at Spar and Bernstein will.
Which will get you through the settlement.
Exactly. But sometimes what happens, Brad, is a doctor from the workers' comp insurance company will deny your benefits. And if your benefits are denied, then you're left with nothing in your pocket. And so what do? There's something called funding companies. And Brad, you know what that is. It's when you get funding from a third-party insurance company, and they give you money against the settlement of your case.
It's basically you're getting a loan.
It's a loan.
It's a loan, but it's a high-interest loan.
It's extremely high interest.
Right. So there's good and bad, because you want to be able to take some money so you can
enjoy
your life and get through your life and pay your bills. But at the same time, you don't want to take too much because the interest runs very high. The good news is that if your case never settles, you never have to pay them back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're not on the hook if you take a funding and ultimately you lose your case. It's not like you're in debt for the rest of your life.
Right.
You only owe them if the case settles, just like you only owe your lawyer if the case settles. One thing that lawyers can't do is pay your bills. That's against the law.
That is illegal, yes.
Right. So, Moshe, tell me about a situation where somebody came to you who was seriously injured in a construction accident, and they were very concerned about how they were going to pay their bills, what they were going to do, how they were going to pay the rent, and ultimately what happened in the short term and what happened in the long term.
So we did have a client, Brad, that had emergency surgery the day of his accident. There was no insurance involved whatsoever. He was an undocumented person. And so when he had the surgery, the emergency bill came to his home, and he had no idea what to do with it. A week later, he comes to our office. We explain the situation to him. We open his workers' compensation benefits the day he came to us, and workers' compensation began to pay for all of his medical bills. And he didn't have to incur any expenses whatsoever. And ultimately, Brad, after we successfully litigated the case, we proved that he had no responsibility for the share of the accident. We got the defendants 100% liable.
And this is an undocumented person. This is somebody who was not legal to work in America.
He didn't even know he had a case when he first came here because he was undocumented. He didn't have a case. But that's quite contrary. You have the exact same rights as somebody who's a legal citizen here in America. And we ultimately got him almost $4 million.
That's crazy. That's a great, 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 great settlement. That's amazing. And now, so he got a workers' compensation to cover him throughout his case, and then at the end of the case, settle the case for almost $4 million. It's a great job, Moshe. Now, for everybody out there, whether you're working in construction, you know someone working in construction, whether they're citizens, residents, a loved one, a friend, even undocumented person, everyone has the right to representation. God forbid they are injured on the job, because it is strict liability being injured in a construction accident in the state of New York. You should be saving our telephone number, because, as I said at the top, 10%, 1 out of every 10 construction workers get injured on the job every year. And most of them never hire an attorney, and they should. Save our telephone number. It's 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. I'm imploring you to do it. And the reason is because you save it because you never think you're going to get into an accident, and then it happens, and you don't know who to call. Oh, I remember seeing this Facebook guy. I remember the bulldozer lawyer. What's his name? I don't remember anymore. You have it saved in your phone. 1-800-529-5465. Moshe, great job.
Make sure you get aggressive lawyers who know what they're doing, because you only get one bite at the apple.
Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. All right, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice.
I'm here.
All right, we have more social media?
It's showtime. All right. We have one from Cindy saying, hey, my name is Cindy. I live in Indianapolis. I have a pending ballot case since March 2018, but want to travel with my 2 kids to Washington State to visit their cousin, but I only have my passport and ID. Can I travel by a plane with my passport as an ID?
Absolutely.
Okay, Miles 7 saying, I have a question for a friend. USCIS received my marriage-based green card application on November 17, 2017, and we went to interview on July 30th, 2019. Please, when is the priority? When is my priority? Will it be current?
If you filed an adjustment in 2017 and you went for who sponsored who?
Let's just say they went on an interview July 30th.
Well, I assume she wants to know is when she's going to get her green card, and you should get it within 120 days of your interview.
All right. Jessica Leamy saying, good day, Uncle Brad. If an out-of-status immigrant marries a green card holder, what documents do they need to file, and will the immigrant get an EAD SSN?
No, you're just going to file an I-130 at the present time, and then once the spouse becomes a citizen, then you'll do the adjustment and get the EAD.
Sweet X saying, how can a child go to school in Jamaica after obtaining a green card from one parent without losing his or her 10-year green card?
Get a re-entry permit. File a form I-131.
And how long can a child stay out of the U.S. legally? What actions can they take?
Without the re-entry permit, less than 6 months. With the re-entry permit, 3 years.
Okay. Nana is saying, if you don't have your green card but have a child who's a U.S. citizen and you file for food stamps, would the parent of that child be considered a public charge?
No. No. What are you doing?
Oh, look, because of my green.
What?
I'm see-through.
Where?
In my hair.
No, you're not.
Look right here.
No, you're not.
I am. Look.
Oh, you are? You look like Beetle Juice.
Look.
Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice.
All right. DJ Voltage saying, hey, good night, Brad. I was sent to you for I was sent to you to help my wife. She's withdrawing her immigration filing. She told me on multiple times I left her, she would remove it and call ICE on me, but I can't take it anymore. What are my options?
Does he have a 2-year card, or he's got nothing?
Does not say.
Well, if you have nothing, you got to think about an emotional abuse case, and if you have a 2-year card, then get divorced and prove it was a real marriage.
All right. And our next one.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice!
Is Asila saying, I got married to my boyfriend who has a green card. His mom filed for him. He's here a little over a year. I came here on a visiting visa and overstayed. Will I be able to get a green card?
Who filed for who?
I got married to my boyfriend who has a green card. His mom filed for him, and he's been here over a year. So she came on a visitor's visa and overstayed. Can she get a green card?
Yes, but you would have to marry him, file a visa petition, do a provisional waiver, go home and come back.
Okay. OPME saying, I was convicted for 2 DUIs respectively. And I have just applied to remove conditions on my 2-year green card. 1, misdemeanor, operating a vehicle while intoxicated and endangering a person. 2, misdemeanor, same thing, both in July 2019. What implication
I don't know what state this was. I would need to see the disposition.
All right. Erica Brown saying, squat up, guys. Happy Thursday. If I have a pending VAWA and I got reckless speeding ticket in Virginia, if I get a lesser charge or case dismissed, will it affect my green card process?
No.
Shay saying, my grandmother initially filed an I-130 August 2017 for her son and children. She then passed away in 2016, while her son and derivative I-130 was approved and sent to NVC for further processing. A humanitarian reinstatement was requested by one of my, I don't know, that it stops there.
Relatives.
Yeah, so is there any question in that?
I don't know what the question is. Say it again.
Well, they didn't put the whole question.
Give me half the question again.
So my grandmother initially filed an I-130 August 2017.
Grandma passed away, so somebody else.
And while her son and derivative I-130 was approved and sent to NBC for further processing. So it's
so now you need a family member to step into the shoes of grandma, file a humanitarian waiver, get it approved, and then you can complete the case.
Okay. Lee Nelson saying, how long do you have to wait for your green card after an interview? They said 2 weeks. Now it's almost 4 weeks and no word.
Wait 120 days. If you don't hear anything, call me.
Sprout saying, my wife has been in the U.S. for 4 months. We got married, but I'm a green card holder. How can I help her adjust her status?
Sprout?
My wife has been in the U.S. for 4 months. We got married, but I'm a green card holder. So.
Again, the green card holder, you got to be a citizen first.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't say if they're a citizen or not.
Right.
Okay, Carissa saying, if my parents are here with me on vacation, do I have to wait 90 days to file for them, or can I go ahead and
wait
do it now?
90 days, or it's a misrepresentation.
Sue Wong saying, Brad, she is maybe a friend, is already married. The child is 18 years old next month. So does this mean the marriage happened before her son turned 18, so the stepdad can petition for the child?
If the marriage happened before 18, the stepdad can petition.
Okay, and that's it for now.
All right, so as I said earlier, you and the crew went to Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to both be enlightened and scared. The prison was built in 1829 and was the first of its kind to focus on criminal justice reform and rehabilitation instead of punishment. It closed in 1971 and stayed vacant, unused for 20 years until it was renovated in 1991 by the Pew Charitable Trust. In 1994, the penitentiary turned into a museum, and at night during Halloween, it becomes a terror behind the walls, consistently ranked among the top haunted attractions in the nation. Let's watch.
Happy Halloween, Brad Squad. It's Belgium Kim, and we've traveled all the way to Philadelphia to the Eastern State Penitentiary. Built in 1829 with an eye on criminal justice reform, the goal of this prison was rehabilitation instead of punishment. Like immigration issues and basic human rights, the whole point of our show is about social justice reform. So what better place to take you for Halloween than one of the most famous and expensive prisons of the time, now standing in ruin, steeped in history, and said to be haunted. By day, we're going to take you on a tour of the penitentiary with expert tour guide Damon, who's going to tell us all about what went on behind these walls, and he's going to tell us all about some of the infamous inmates that lived right here, like Al Capone and Rabbi Bulber.
And by night, get ready for terror behind the walls. That's right, Brad Squad. Eastern State Penitentiary is known to be one of the most haunted attractions to visit in the world. Now tonight, we have volunteered ourselves to be the first victims to go through this haunted prison. Now we have no idea what to expect, but what we do know is ghosts and ghouls might pull us in as we explore through secret passageways. Now we are terrified, and if we get out alive, we'll get a special sit-in with scare expert Kenny to give us the lowdown of what we just experienced. Now, strap yourself in, Brad Squad, because it's about to get spooky.
Here with veteran tour guide Damon. Damon, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about how long you've been a tour guide here.
I've been a tour guide at Eastern State for about 2.5 years.
And what inspired you?
I think that criminal justice reform is one of the most important social issues in America today, so I think that this work is important.
I'm so excited to go inside. So what are we going to be doing today? Tell us a little
We're
bit.
going to go into cell block 2. It's an original cell block. It opened in 1830. It was also a woman's block, so we can talk about different groups of people that were here, including women.
Awesome. Let's go. I'm excited.
This is cell block 2. It's an original block. It opened in 1830. It's one of 7 original cell blocks. The landscape of the prison changed over time.
Okay.
So although there were supposed to be 7 blocks, today there are 15.
Okay.
And this is one of the original 19th century blocks. And wanted to show you this image here to really get a sense of why Eastern State was constructed. This is a depiction of the way that prisons and jails looked before Eastern State was built.
Like a bar fight?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
More importantly, this was not the person's punishment. This was simply a place where folks were held before their punishment took place. So if you want to join me at this sign right over here, early American punishments were public and physical. So things like branding or the pillory, which you've probably seen in movies or TV before. So the founders of Eastern State, which are some people you may have heard of before, like Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
Celebrated American physician Benjamin Rush, a bishop named William White. All affluent white men, which is important. They formed an organization to try and create a new kind of American prison. It's got a super long name.
Okay.
It's written right there. It's called the Philadelphia Society for Alleviating the Miseries of Public Prisons. It's now called the Pennsylvania Prison Society, so they shortened it down a little bit.
Okay.
It's the first prison reform organization in the world, and their job was to create a new kind of prison, something that distanced the justice system away from punishment and tried to become more rehabilitative, which is really the essence of this building.
Okay. Now, how did that turn out?
So, mixed reviews.
Okay.
But the idea was that if keeping everybody in the same room, that bar fight scene that you described a moment ago, if that was the problem, then the opposite of that must be the solution. And so the opposite of everyone in one room together would have been solitary confinement.
Total isolation.
Isolation.
Okay.
That is the idea that the institution is built around, is that folks do not interact with one another. They were allowed to interact with people that worked in the prison. In fact, they were encouraged to do so, to receive moral instruction, to learn a trade. But the idea was that they were not supposed to interact with one another.
Okay, so what were some of the ways in which they isolated and ensured that these prisoners would remain isolated?
So audio and acoustics are really important to this idea of isolation. Guards would wear wool socks over their boots so as to not be heard.
Whoa.
Food was brought to prisoners on carts. Those carts' wheels were wrapped in leather straps so that they didn't make noise either.
So there was total sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation, although folks did have an opportunity to exercise. There are certainly people who were interviewed here in the 19th century that said that the food was tolerable, that their treatment was fair, that it may have even been an improvement from what they had experienced during an earlier time of incarceration. But then you have other accounts. Charles Dickens came to the prison in 1842. He interviewed a number of people and issued a scathing indictment of solitary confinement, called it torturous, a concrete coffin. So saying that isolation of the mind is worse than a punishment onto the body.
We've talked a little bit about how the revolutionaries behind this prison changed how people were imprisoned. How was that reflected in the design and structure of the building itself?
I think the prison's architecture is probably one of, if not the most significant feature of the building. It operates on what's called a radial plan.
Okay.
It was popularized by a British architect named John Haviland. He didn't invent it, but he did popularize it. If we go to the Central Surveillance Hub, I think you'll get a really clear view of how that works.
I love that.
So this is the Central Surveillance Hub. It's the most important room in the prison.
Yeah.
And I think you're beginning to understand why that might have been the case.
Yes.
So this design is called a radial plan, which means that every cell block was intended to radiate or come out of this central room. So somebody who worked here could stand where we're standing, look down every single hallway in a matter of seconds, barely having to move their body, and make sure that nobody was outside of their cell. It worked really good in theory. So this is that big castle-looking structure that we walked through today.
Okay.
It was and continues to be the only break in the wall.
Oh,
so it's the only way in or out.
Okay.
And the cell blocks are numbered in the order in which they were built. So this is number 1.
Okay.
This is number 2, where you and I just were.
Okay.
This is cell block 3, which is the prison's hospital. And then as you can see, blocks 4, 5, 6, and 7 all have 2 floors, and they are much longer than the first 3. So by the time the architects got around to cell block 4, they already knew that there was going to be a problem with population.
Tell me a bit about the immigrant history of this building.
Sure. So up here on our right-hand side is America's first prison synagogue. It was built in the early 1920s.
Okay.
And it had to do with a very small Jewish population that was here, but enough that a place of worship was carved out for them. So this is the Jewish Life exhibit at Eastern State. It explores the Jewish experience here in the prison. And you had brought up one kind of famous incarcerated person here named Morris Bulber, also known as the Rabbi.
Right. He was part of a murderous crime network that killed people for their insurance money.
So this is Mr. Bulber's intake card.
Oh my God.
It included some pretty strange statistics too.
Right.
Whether the person's parents were alive, whether they drank alcohol, whether they used profanity. So it should be noted that Mr. Bulber was an immigrant from Russia, and upon his arrival here became an important part of Jewish life in the prison up until his death, which unfortunately took place inside of Eastern State.
Wow. All right, Damon, I think we have come up on Al Capone's cell. What is different about this cell than most of the other cells that we've seen so far?
So, for one thing, Eastern State as a historic site has recreated it, which the institution doesn't normally do for other folks' cells. And although the cell looks really nice inside of it, and it's got some unique furnishings,
very swanky,
other cells may have had those things as well.
Really?
What is unique about Capone's cell is where it's located.
Okay.
So you may notice that cell block 8 is behind us.
Yes.
And cell block 9 is in front of us.
See it?
But right now we're not on a cell block.
Right.
So the geography of Capone's cell might be the most important thing about it, as it does not sit on a cell block, and that's unique. It may have something to do with his celebrity or perhaps for his own security.
Right. Does this mean that all of the inmates here lived in this kind of comfort, or was this special to Al Capone?
So the cell has been recreated according to some newspaper articles that were written about it at the time.
Right.
Calling
it a luxurious cell.
Sure, one of those articles says that. The other article concludes by saying it is by no means the most luxuriously furnished cell in the prison. There are others that are more sumptuous. So other folks may have had those things in addition to Mr. Capone.
All right, so we've arrived at the graph. Tell me a little bit about what each side represents.
So this side of the graph that we're facing at the moment shows the United States rate of incarceration over time. It goes decade by decade.
Right.
The bar is red for 1970 because that's around the time that Eastern State closed.
Okay.
And 2010 is the most recent decade, so it is also red.
Obviously, something happened in 1970 to make incarceration rates skyrocket. What happened?
Most scholars agree that around this moment, an event called the War on Drugs is responsible for the 600% increase in prison population in the United States. So So at the federal level, drug-related crimes were being taken more seriously than they had been before. It was resulting in more arrests, more folks going to prison and spending longer times in prison. And the states started to absorb that philosophy as well, which was passed down from the federal government. This thin side of the graph shows the United States rate of incarceration compared to every other nation on Earth. The number beside each nation is number of people in that country incarcerated per 100,000.
Per 100,000.
You'll notice that the United States is by far the world's leader, with about 730 per 100,000.
And so much higher above the second, which is Rwanda at 527.
Right, so it is the world's leader by a large margin. This part of the graph is segregated by countries that practice capital punishment, like the United States, and countries that don't. Sometimes there is an idea that countries that practice capital punishment might have a lower rate of incarceration than countries that don't. But that's not true, because the United States practices capital punishment and it has the highest rate of incarceration. This side of the graph shows the U.S. prison population by race.
Oh my God.
So, for example, here we see that about 39% of folks who are incarcerated in 2010 are African American. And that's a huge problem because African Americans only make up about 13% of the total American population. So people of color in general, and African Americans in particular, are disproportionately overrepresented in the prison system.
What caused this great racial difference in the incarceration?
Scholars like Michelle Alexander have compared mass incarceration to the new Jim Crow, suggesting that the numbers that we're seeing here are simply an extension of a legacy of oppression against people of color in the United States.
There's been a lot of talk about policies at the southern border and how incarceration plays a part in our immigration system today. Tell me a little bit about how you feel like the privatization of the prison system has changed incarceration.
So it's certainly a unique phenomenon. It began in the 1980s. A lot of visitors to Eastern State are sort of charged by the idea of the privatization of prisons. I feel like it's sort of a household conversation at this point. It's important to note that only about 8% of folks who are incarcerated in the United States are inside of a private prison.
Wow.
But it has unique implications for immigrants who are incarcerated and undocumented people specifically, because many of those detention centers are privately owned. And a lot of folks who are incarcerated in the United States for immigration crimes are held in federal prisons, which are also privatized.
How do you feel like that impacts the greater immigrant and communities of color in this country?
I'm sure that the disproportionate number of folks of color who are affected by the justice system impacts those communities in every single way. But I'm sure it has real and lasting implications for not only those communities, but for the greater society. You know, scholars agree that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than folks who were born inside of the United States. So I'm not convinced that the numbers that we speak about are an accurate representation of what's happening with crime in any community.
What do you feel like the original founders behind Eastern State would want us to glean today?
We are still living from their decisions. And I don't think that those consequences are always positive ones. So if anything, I think it's our job as the public to hold people accountable who make these kinds of decisions, whether they were the founders of Eastern State or the people who are making decisions in the 21st century about incarceration and justice and community safety.
That is a perfect segue into what this show is about, which is that everybody comes from somewhere. What is your immigration story, Damon?
I am mostly Irish. But I can tell you that I think that our conversation has made me more interested and curious about my own past and legacy. So thank you, and I'll continue to research my own background and my story.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for now, the spookiness begins. Stick around, Brad Squad. Check it out.
All right, we got more social media questions. Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice.
I'm here.
Wait, you gotta go.
It's
There you go.
Showtime. All right.
It's showtime. Oh, there we go.
I I look better.
Right, what about, do you have Captain Stubing?
Oh. And I like that. I like that. I like that.
All right. Let's see. What do we got?
We have one from Beatrice Jean-Baptiste saying, I would like to know if you're a U.S. citizen filing for your husband, how long for USCIS to process your case at the office in Texas?
I don't know. It could be anywhere from 6 months to 3 years, depending on what country you're from and how you do the application.
Oh, shit.
Well, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice, Beetle Juice.
Just
What'd you do?
falling apart.
Did you just say the S word? Did you just say the S word?
My finger fell off. All right. Kimberly saying, hey, my sister was previously married and her husband got an annulment. Her boyfriend is willing to get her adjustment of status, but he's 23 and she's 38. Should she go ahead and get married, or will that be a red flag?
If she gets an adjustment of status, how?
Through him, through her boyfriend.
Why would it be a red flag?
Because he's 23 and she's 38.
No, it's not a red flag. Watch this.
Oh, wow.
I only got 2 in my mouth.
Okay. Let's see what I could do.
Yeah.
Got 4?
Yeah. How many did you get?
Not one.
Not one?
Okay.
All right, I'm getting into my party mode now.
There we go. Oh. All right, Kimberly. So it's not going to be... It'll be okay?
We'll be okay.
Calvin saying, great job, guys.
Thank you.
I have a question for Brad, the genius.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I just got married, and filing our AOS papers, we already filed taxes when we were single. Do we wait for the next taxes to file together?
Go amend them.
Messiah saying, my work permit will expire in 2 weeks. My I-485, I came through a K-1 visa, still pending, or the I-485 is still pending after the interview. Since March 2019, I reapplied for a work permit in May 10th and yet to receive a receipt. What can I do?
May 10th, you haven't received a receipt yet, and we're in October. You did something wrong, and your case has been pending for 2 years. You need to get a lawyer. By the way, do you prefer a Kit Kat or a Skittle?
A Kit Kat.
Well, what is this pink thing? Ooh, licorice.
Ooh, licorice is
I actually ticker it. I didn't see that.
Twizzlers.
Nobody told me Twizzlers. The captain is leaving the bridge for the Twizzlers.
About to go get more cabbies. All right, Michelle.
2 more questions. Two more questions.
Michelle saying, how soon after marriage can one file?
The next day.
Sexy Shan saying, after filing a VAWA case, how long do you have to take
By
to
the way,
get
your
a
beard
work
is
permit?
falling off. Your moss is falling off. Your
Oh,
beard, Beetle
snap.
Juice. What was the last question?
After filing a VAWA case, how long do you take to get a work permit or social?
If you file an adjustment, you should get it in 4 or 5 months.
There we go.
Now, excuse me while I swallow my Twizzlers.
Right.
Early in the show, we saw Eastern State Penitentiary by day and learned all about the history of the people who were in that prison.
Mm-hmm.
But now, it is time to see what happens when it's transformed into a house of terror behind the walls as we watch the Brad Show Live crew get scared out of their wits. Let's watch.
All right, y'all, this is Jonathan Elias and
Belgium Kim.
Yo, we are so excited. We are about to walk in terror beyond the walls. Kim is a little afraid. I'm not afraid, you know what I mean? This is what I do, you feel me? I'm excited to see her reaction. We're walking in. I am a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, now you're nervous. Now he's nervous.
real hard right now. I don't know why.
What the? What is this? Where do we go? Oh! This is terrifying. Are you scared or are you just exhausted? Because I'm terrified. What is that? This ain't even scary.
Okay.
I'm fine. Oh my God! Why don't I see them? Oh my God! Yeah, you got this! You got this, John! You got this! Do we have Jan? Jan? Where's Jonathan? We have lost Jonathan.
Sir, that is rude.
He's alive.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hey, Jonathan!
Wait.
You went
How do I get out?
Oh, my God!
I know, a ship.
That is such a scary guard tower. This is terrifying.
Going in here? Specimen.
I don't like this.
Wait, don't trust me.
Look at that. What is that?
This is not a good hospital.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Tommy, are you experiencing hallucinations?
Yeah.
I think you might need to come with me.
Oh, wow! Wow! Oh, what is of it? Go!
Did we make it?
We made it!
Did we make it?
We made it on the live!
Did we make it?
Woo! Yeah!
All right, everybody, we have the man behind it all. Kenny, how are you? I hear you're called a scare expert.
Yes, I guess you could say I am a scare expert, and I'm very happy to be here with you.
As you guys can see, I changed my shirt because my white shirt is drenched. Your maze, your whole attraction got me good. So tell me about how you got in with this company.
I'm on the senior theatrical team here for Terror Behind the Walls at Eastern State Penitentiary. I first auditioned as an actor back in 2013. I showed up and I made some weird movements. I crawled around like this weird creature and made some weird screams and snarls, and I guess they liked what they saw. So I acted for a couple seasons, became a manager, and now 7 years later, here I am.
That's an amazing story.
It takes a lot of mental and emotional and physical stamina to go through, 32 show nights, up to 8 hours a night, scaring thousands of people. And it takes a village to run a haunted house, too. We have about 350 people that are behind these walls every show night, about 225 that are in costume and makeup scaring you, which is why, it was such an intense experience for you. It's just aggressive. We have about 100 folks in customer service positions.
So what all do you do with Terror Behind the Walls?
I'm part of the centralized casting team. So I'm looking for, the best scare actors to cast into the show, seeing what all their strengths are. I help write the storyline and write the script that helps develop those characters, and I help consult to see what the best costume and makeup looks could be with our amazingly professional costume and makeup special effects team.
How did Terror Behind the Wall come about, and what was the goal?
So Terror Behind the Walls first started off back in 1991. The building had been sitting in a state of ruin for the last 20 years after it had closed as a real prison in 1971. And then some folks wanted to raise funds to restore it as an historic site, to be able to educate the public about issues of criminal justice and issues of mass incarceration. So on Halloween night in 1991, they opened the gate to the public. A couple hundred people came through, and people shared ghost stories. In 1994, they opened Eastern State Penitentiary for daytime tours. By 1997, we had our brand, Terror Behind the Walls, as this haunted attraction. And then we became nationally recognized starting in the mid-2000s, and we've been consistently ranked as one of the #1 haunted houses in the country for the last about 15 years.
And you're a part of that. How's that feel?
Being someone that's from the Philadelphia area, I always heard about Terror Behind the Walls as a kid, and to kind of grow up and become a part of it it's really an honor. I work with a really incredible group of people that are all very passionate and dedicated to putting on the best possible show that we can.
I'm sure the viewers you saw, I wasn't that scared, you know what I mean? I want you to let the viewers know, what can they expect if they come to this attraction?
So when you enter Terror Behind the Walls, we have a really unique experience in that you can kind of choose how you want to be a part of the show, where you can treat it as a standard haunted house, where you're just walking through and the actors are popping out at you, but not touching you or anything like that. Or you can opt in to wear a tracking device for a more intense experience. And with that glow necklace, that's a mark to the zombies, that you are willing to be grabbed and touched, pulled away, even separated from your group. And what we did differently this year is we kind of increased the interactivity. And the second people walk into the gatehouse to get their ticket scanned, you're already in the show until the second that you leave.
What difference do you have from the other haunted houses?
What sets us apart at Terror Behind the Walls is, I think, #1, our location. Being in the Eastern State Penitentiary, this is the perfect setting for a haunted house. We have these massive 30-foot, Gothic castle-like walls that really kind of separate you from the grid of the rest of the city. We're the largest haunted house in the country outside of a theme park. We have some, extra experiences that many other haunts don't have. For example, where we are right now is the Speakeasy Lounge by Al Capone's cell, where we have cabaret singers, we have tarot card readers, we have blackjack dealers and contortionists to keep you entertained and have some, cocktails as well after you've enjoyed the show. We have a zombie SWAT guard dance team with some amazing professional dancers that give you a really good scare while also having some really amazing choreography.
What are some of the funniest reactions you have seen?
The classic one that we love to see is a scream followed by a laugh, which shows that you're having a good time. But I would say my personal favorite is what we call dropping bodies. So what happens is, if you time your startle scare exactly right with your eye contact and your evil intentions and your imposing body language, that person, their knees start to give and they buckle and they drop to the ground. So they're perfectly fine, they don't get hurt, but just for that split second, your knees just buckle and you come right back up.
First of all, I loved how you just got into that character.
That's a really, important part about Terror Behind the Walls, is being able to kind of deliver that kind of customer service, but also being able to snap into someone that's just going to rip out your flesh and pluck out your eyeballs with a spork.
Oh my God. What happens when people get too scared?
All you have to do is say, "Monster, be good," and we will back off and we'll just let you move forward. Take that tracking device, take it off your neck, and just throw it on the ground, and then the monsters can't touch you anymore. And then if you decide, you know what, I'm good, I kind of want to go back into that, once you get in line for the next attraction, you can opt right back in. So you're always in control.
I kept mine on the whole night. So
that's a badge of honor.
How much goes into preparing for this?
We prepare year-round for Terror Behind the Walls. It's an ongoing process, and even when we're open, we're still kind of changing it so that there's something new. We have thousands of visitors that come every day. I would say as many as up to 5,000 or so every night across 32 show nights. Since this is all a fundraiser for Eastern State Penitentiary, their year-round budget, about 65% of their operating budget comes from these 32 show nights of Terror Behind the Walls. So it's great to keep the museum up and running to educate the public about issues of criminal justice, issues of mass incarceration.
You've been here for 7 years now.
Yes.
Have you ever experienced any paranormal activities here in the prison?
I was always a very firm skeptic whenever I heard stories like that in any place. However, with the 7 years that I have been here, I have had some things happen to me that my scientific brain cannot rationalize away. There have been some times where I was in a scariest, as we call it, a haunt room by myself. And I know the soundtrack wasn't turned on yet. I know there's no actors or guests inside. And I heard footsteps, like they were coming up to me. And I looked around, and there was no one there. There was times where I would see a door that, it's to an actor's hallway that has no doorknob, so I can see there's no one on the other side. And it's a very heavy door. Swing open, slam shut on its own. So that's what I've experienced. It's given me chills. I can't really explain it away. We've had a lot of paranormal experts that have come in as well, like a lot of famous people from the Travel Channel have come through, and notoriously Cell Block 12, which is where Lockdown, our first attraction, is hosted. There's been a lot of documents of paranormal activity on the second and third floors of that cell block. So there's something going on here.
So you truly believe that this place is haunted?
I used to be a skeptic, but now I am a believer that there is something else lurking behind these walls besides us.
It doesn't make you scared to like still be here though?
I kind of had to shake it off a bit and find a way to channel it within myself so that then I feel more empowered as a monster as I'm scaring the visitors and paying it forward in a sense.
There you go. Oh, what is your immigration story?
My family mainly emigrated here from Ireland, and I have some family that came here from France and Spain as well in the early 1900s, 1910s. So it's been about 100 years that my family has been here.
We went through the whole history of the prison today. Do you feel proud that you're a part of some history like that that has so much to do with immigration?
We're being more pointed with, our Prisons Today exhibit and revamping our mission to be, more overt about that mass incarceration isn't working. I feel really glad that I can kind of have this really unique opportunity to be a zombie in costume and makeup, doing something that somehow also helps educate the public about issues of criminal justice.
How long does this attraction run for?
We run until November 9th, so people after Halloween still have a chance to get that Halloween spirit.
I would be that person to come after Halloween as well. Can you end us off with a little creepy bit?
Sure, of course. Let's see. What I can say is a spoonful of arsenic helps the medicine go down.
That's not good. Don't have that spoonful. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you so much. Brad Squad, thank you so much for joining us. We got out alive.
You got until November 9th to come check out Terror Behind the Walls at Eastern State Penitentiary right here in Philly. So make sure to not miss this opportunity, squad.
And happy Halloween!
All right, so you were scared, Beetle Juice?
Absolutely not.
You look like you jumped a little bit there.
No, I didn't.
All right.
Hi! Brad,
where did Sam come from? We haven't seen Sam in weeks.
Yeah.
Sam, where'd you come from? Where have you been?
Brad, I got locked.
They told me you quit.
I got locked in the stairwell.
I was told you quit.
No, I got locked in the stairwell.
Locked in the stairwell?
I thought I smelled pretzels. I went in. I got locked. No one heard
What
me.
stairwell were you locked in?
The one, where you going for the fire
How did you get locked in a stairwell?
I went, and it clears behind me.
That's ridiculous. You have been in a stairwell for months?
I have. It's been terrible. Luckily, I lived on one pretzel. One stupid pretzel I found.
Who found you, Sam?
I was finally banging because I knew it was Halloween, and I heard that Yo-Yo was going to be incredible as Beetle Juice. I heard you were going to be the Captain Stubing, so guess who I am? I'm your purser, Gopher. He had a purser named Gopher, and I'm close to a gopher, so I showed up as your purser. I couldn't miss it, so Denisha let me in.
All right, Sam. So why don't you stick around?
Brad Squad, I've missed you all. Happy Halloween.
Here, have some Twizzlers.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh,
Take that.
very
Take that.
cool.
Very good. Okay. All right. Why don't you stick? Here. You dropped it. Here.
Oh, can you open it for me? I don't have thumbs. It's kind of hard sometimes.
I'll open it for you. I love Twizzlers.
I've missed you so much.
Here.
Oh,
ready? Got it?
Delicious.
Oh, okay, very good. All right. What do we got? Comments of the day? We have comments of the day.
Comments of the day.
All right. What are the comments of the day? What happened, Sam?
It's chewy.
Yeah.
I only have 2 teeth, so I gotta be careful.
Yeah. You want some water?
Yeah.
Right. Help my brother out.
Yes. I'm a brother from another mother.
Right. Our first comment of the day comes from Marge. He's saying, Yo, you need to find a party or bar to hang out to tonight. Oh, don't worry.
Don't worry. Yes, he's going to be, baby boy's going out all night, right?
You already know.
Yes.
Don't forget me.
Oh, you coming with me?
You know I like a few cocktails.
Oh, I got you, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Our second comment of the day comes from Fearless Michelle saying, too much Beetle or too much juice?
A little of both. A little of both.
You got the juice.
And our third comment of the day comes from Sandra. She was saying, Brad, Bernstein, is it true that Love Boat promises something for everyone? The Love Boat, exciting and new.
It is.
Brad. Ooh, Captain Brad.
I think they're calling you Captain Dreamy.
Captain Dreamy.
You are named Dreamy,
No one
Brad.
call me Captain Dreamy.
They're saying you're looking good.
All right.
We have one coming from Sweet X, the artist, saying this is a very informative show that all should watch every 5:30-ish in the evening.
5:30-ish is the key comment.
It is the key comment. Get your immigration question answered from the best immigration lawyer on 2 foot for those who are just joining.
That's right.
There you go.
All right. And that's it?
And our last comment of the day
got one
for
more.
Halloween. John Harriet said, I knew tonight's show was going to be great, but this is excellent.
All right. We like it. Excellent show, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And we're glad we found Sam out of the stairwell. Happy Halloween to everybody. We'll be back live tomorrow at 5:30-ish. Have a great Halloween and stay safe. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now, conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAWLINK. 1-800-529-5465.